Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about Donald Trump's latest legal defeat, his failed effort to remove to federal court. I'll explain that in a moment. The Alvin Bragg prosecution. So remember this one? It was the very first. At the time, it was a thunderbolt, the first time ever that a former president had been indicted by any state or federal authority. It was the New York DA, and what the case was about was the hush money payout to Stormy Daniels, which we've known about for a long time. It seemed as if the old DA's office under Bragg's predecessor, Cy Vance Jr., was going to bring it. Then the time clock ran out. Bragg came in and seemed to put it in mothballs, but then a year later, he actually brought the case. And the sort of nuts and bolts of the case are that Trump had Michael Cohen pay hush money to Stormy Daniels, who was ready to go public or to the National Enquirer with the story that she and Trump had an affair, and in very special lurid details. This was just after Trump's child was born, and from just had to be humiliating to him and Melania. But the bigger point is, this is in the wake of the Access Hollywood tape. It feels almost quaint now, but it seemed as if it could topple the Trump presidency. So he concocted a plan where the National Enquirer didn't run the piece, and they paid hush money to Stormy Daniels, and Michael Cohen did the paying. So that's the basic idea. And the charges under New York law, it's not the affair. That's not illegal. It's rather that this was a campaign finance expenditure. And that's because he was trying to keep the fallout from harming his campaign, which was at that time, remember, still an underdog to Hillary Clinton. So the payoff of hush money was a campaign expenditure that was hidden in different ways under New York law: false statements, false filings, false characterizations. All right, those are the basic charges, and so much has happened since then, but they are supposed to go to trial early next year. In the meantime, Trump made a motion. You can do this. It normally happens in civil cases, but the motion is take this case and move it to federal court, which he wanted to do for a few strategic reasons. It really doesn't matter for current purposes, but you can do that only if you meet one of a few circumstances. And very quick constitutional aside, Congress sets up federal courts at a time when the state courts are really the bread and butter business of the whole country, in order to protect certain federal prerogatives as they're making a stronger federal government, and in particular to avoid having state governments just hail, like, say, a federal taxpayer. That was super controversial in the 18th century. Could there be federal income tax, or the 19th century? In order to prevent the use of state courts for sort of home cooking and to the derogation of federal rights, the Congress said, if you're sued in federal court and you have a good federal defense, then you can move the case to federal court. That's what Trump tried to do. The rub, of course, what federal defense, and so this came back to a issue that we've seen in different settings, and actually Trump sometimes is on either side of this, but he wanted to say, remember this? This is me acting as commander-in-chief, as president, and so they're coming after me for work I did as a president. That's a solid, complete defense. Indeed, the DOJ would then take it over, etc., if it were really for presidential duties. and therefore I get to go now to federal court. All right, so Judge Hellerstein, who heard this motion, made very quick work of it, and there have been a series now of opinions that Trump is not only losing, but losing in kind of humiliating fashion, where the judge is saying the polite equivalent of "You must be kidding me," because take a step back, and we've talked about this in other settings before. The conduct occurs before he's president. It's the whole point of it is to try to win the election. So the overture from Stormy Daniels, the payout, the whole arrangement from Michael Cohen is done for Donald Trump, the candidate, not Donald Trump, the president. And the judge said, this is a personal candidate's gesture, not that of the president of the United States. Trump had tried a couple gambits. He'd first said, well, the last check that was written out to Michael Cohen to reimburse him for his payment, which was then camouflaged in illegal ways, to Stormy Daniels, occurred when Trump signed it when he was in the White House. The judge is unimpressed with that. That doesn't convert a basic personal action into one of the president. The other big point they tried to argue is that Michael Cohen was acting at this point. It probably shouldn't matter anyway, but the judge rejected it firmly on the facts. Michael Cohen, at this point, it has been made in some way Trump's lawyer in Trump's guise as president to be, and he's brought in to do that. So any work he does is either in anticipation of or actually for Trump the president, not Trump the person. But that was just ludicrous on the facts. And Trump, once again, hoist by his own petard. They just had a testimony from the general counsel of the Trump organization who said, no, that's not who Michael Cohen was. He was acting as Trump's personal attorney. So that idea, which maybe wouldn't have flown under the best legal reading anyway, fails on the facts, and the judge is able to say, he is not somehow the lawyer to the president. He's the lawyer to Donald Trump, the candidate who has an affair and is trying to pay off the lover in order to avoid the electoral hit, and he's doing it, in his personal capacity. So really very quick work made of this. Way down the line, if he's convicted, Trump could potentially try to appeal, but it just seems like such a solid ruling. So now this case will proceed in state court, and with a judge that Trump is not enamored of. Of course, Trump is not enamored of very many judges these days, but the effort to move it into federal court fails definitively. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.